All right, all you devils. Well, by overwhelming demand and currently the rip that we're seeing, we're going to do an update here on Bitcoin. Right, that was far and away the winner. So now we'll get here. We'll get over to some of the TA here and the count in a second here. Before we do, just a couple of announcements and just some things to be aware of. So first, for members, I'm very, very pleased to be announcing the addition to our team here. So now we have another sensei that is on board, and as many of you know, all of the people that work for me, all of the senseis, have all come from the membership. Now, when I started it, before we had the belt system, I would require my senseis to go through the EWI, the Elliott Wave International training to get a certain certification. Well, we did that when we were first starting. Well, now that we have the belt system, I don't need to use that anymore because I will tell you, our purple belt is way more challenging than the Elliott Wave certification, and we did that by design. So this is our purple belt, Tony Talon, is his handle within our Discord. Very pleased to announce that he will be joining us as our newest sensei. By the way, in addition to being a Trade Devils purple belt, he's also a master certified Elliott Wave analyst. Right? He is one hell of a technician and a great guy. And I'm so fortunate that I'm able to bring on and promote people from within the membership because I get to know them and I know their skill level, and I know that he will be a terrific addition to the team here. So I'm going to use that as a segue to say, if ever there was a time, right, to get to tune up your technical analysis skills and take advantage of what I think is going to be one of the great bull markets of our time. Let's say it that way. Boy, what a great time to come on over to Trade Devils and join us. Now, you don't if you're tight on dollars, right? It's not. I'm here to tell you, you can join us for free. You'll get access to the white belt, right, of which I've promoted here many times. That's almost 4 hours of training content through multiple videos, and not a cakewalk by any means, right? None of these are easy, right? You have to apply yourself. You have to study for it. So, but you'll also get access to all of the, well, you can come over here and look through it yourself, right? So there's a progression here that we encourage people to take. Start where it's free, right? There's no commitment, no obligation. We're not going to hammer you to upgrade here, but there's a path here from free to social that'll get you more access. And then ultimately, when you're ready to go after the belt system, then you'd come into the educational, you get access to everything. Right? Not just the belt system, everything that you see listed here. So good time to be doing that if you're, kind of thinking maybe this is the time to really fine-tune my TA skills. Just a reminder here, there's very few educational sources that will challenge you more than the Trade Devils belt system. And we did that very deliberately. I know what's out there, and this is as you will come out of the belt system. If you get to purple belt, well, you'll be an independent trader. And then if you decide to stay with us, it's because you like the community, not because you need us. I'll say that. All right, so just a reminder, tradedevils.com. The link is always, I'm always surprised when people say, where's the link? The link is always directly underneath the video. It's the first link you'll see. Right? Free, social, educational. What a great time to do it. Okay, let's get over to Bitcoin. Now, there's a couple of really exciting things happening here. So here's our all-time high. And of course, we're members. We've been through this so many times. We know that this was the major resistance that we tagged on the rip up here, and then as we've come back down, and now this golden zone here became the resistance. Well, here we are blowing through this, but almost more significantly is the trend line from the top, right? So I zoom here that we went over on Friday. Geez, can't even get it. Yeah, so this trend line from our, well, was not quite 20K, 19 and change. Now breaking that, hugely significant. Now, in the video that I was on Friday, I was talking about the potential for a break and then look for a possible retest. Well, we'll see how far we go here to see if that's realistic. Right now, we're going vertical, but we have to acknowledge this. Okay, so with this let me put that back just to make this clear. With the break of this golden zone here, we now until 14K roughly, we have no algo resistance. Right, it's all broken. Now that doesn't mean that we couldn't do something like this and then we'd be looking at that kind of algo resistance. I'm talking about the dominant up here. The dominant swing is broken. So we have a clear path to 14K. But again, well, shit, you never know with Bitcoin. Not likely to go straight, right? There's likely to be some sort of a pullback. This right now we're just going vertical here, so you would anticipate, right, like was often the case, there'll be some retracement. So if you're not in, if you're not long, well, you can't say I didn't. I gave you plenty of time to get on board, right? There's been, well, I've been a bull I've always been a Bitcoin bull. I mean, even down here. Right, which we know was an algo target all through this. At least my view has been consistent. I'd like to think that no one will bicker with me there. My bullish bias has been, God, I probably got, I don't know how many hundreds of comments from YouTube subs bitching about that bias. Well, okay, so we're not to 20K yet, but certainly I would hate to be short at the moment, right? If you're short, I want to rethink that position. Okay, so here we go. Now, so what I've often talked about with Bitcoin here is that eventually this count will clarify once we see how we resolve here. This ugly start that we've been dealing with, that I've been wrestling with, finally now starts to clarify. And this, so again, right, so it was a long time here. I was saying, fuck, the Elliott's just not helping me here. Until I get some resolution where I can work backwards, not helping me. Now, it's helping me. Okay, so let's break through this. So I'm going to do a couple of things. One, I'm just going to hide this because I'm going to try and demonstrate here. Don't take it off, right? You want to keep an eye on where that is. There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to hide it. Right, so I want to be able to bring it back if there's going to be a retest from above. But the bigger point I'm trying to make here is I think at this point, in the interest of simplicity, we can just call this our ABC. So working off of the low. Okay, with that broken, a couple of points. One, we have not broken this 65 yet. So this 50 and that golden zone are still resistance. Just because we broke the one that was here, we still got to deal with that, right? There'll be software sitting there that will start fighting for the sell side there. Same thing here. Right? They don't reverse until that breaks. Until then, well, these are significant resistance points that we're going to have to deal with, which is why my machine is acting a little buggy today. I don't know what's going on there. As we come up here, don't be surprised if you get resistance. Now, we're not there yet. We're not even to the 50 yet. We got to get to 11.5 before we see how the market responds to that. How do we respond there? And then as we look at the count here, working backwards, we can make some reasonable targets based on the fact that the count now is starting to clarify. So let me open this up a little bit. What am I, 8? Let's go, let me go to a 4 here. I think we can get some clarity on this. Now, with the proposed triangle now resolving higher, which... again, right? It could have gone either way. But if you were going to have any directional bias, right, anticipating the push up here, if this was going to trade as the triangle 4, even if you were, modestly bullish, right? So here's confirmation. This is what I was talking about on Friday. Let the market prove it, right? So now we've broken the trend line, broken out of this. So now we can start to put the count together. Now, this is always the case with Bitcoin. It's tricky, and there are some caveats in this. This is potentially ripe to be relabeled depending on how far we go here. But I think I have resolution down here in terms of a count that will work. So I may, let's see, can I do it on a 4? I may have to open this up. So I'm going to take off the big one. Well, here, I'll just hide it. Let me take that one off. Okay, let's hide it. Okay, so working through this bitch of a section, which has been so elusive to me, I think now we can get a handle on it. From the low, I do think we can go 1, 2, 3, triangle into the 4, and we finish the 5 here. Now, we still are left with an incredibly shallow 2 before we go into the 3rd. But the first section, I think we clarify here. So we can deal with the overlap here. So if it's A, B, C, D, underthrow on the E, again, as you'll often hear me say, very common for the E to underthrow. If this is the E here, now we can hold the impulse. Even though the A, right, I know. All right, but if this is my E, well, then here I don't overlap it here. So while ideally, right, you'd want the triangle up a little bit higher, I think this is as good as we're going to get here. So coming off of this as the 4, completing the 5 here, I've got to go with, well, shit, you could be a WXY. It doesn't really matter. We come down here from that pivot to this pivot. Now I can go into my impulse. I can get my third. Now, here's where it gets tricky and why this is prone to potentially being relabeled, but we'll have to see. If this is going to hold and this is going to end up being our count, if I go 1 to 2, we'll take note here. Right, if indeed that's the 3, I'm shorter than the 1. So I have a disqualification level for this count right here, because at that point, the length of the 5th will be longer than the 1st. Right? So, or pardon me, it'd be, we've got to make sure the 3rd is not the shortest. So right now, 3rd is shorter than 1. At this level, right now we invalidate because then 3rd would become the shortest. So if we look, try that again. If we look at the length of, well, let's do it this way. The length of, from this pivot, the length of the 3rd from the 4, right, from the proposed 4. Well, I guess I'm slightly off here. There's my invalidation level right there. That's the length of the proposed start of the 1. Nope. Yeah. So, oh, Jesus Christ. Hang on a second, guys. I'm drawing the wrong pivot. I thought I had it right. 1, 2. Let's do it again. All right. So length of the 1. Projected from the 2. Get right on there. Okay, we come up shy here. So I've got to look at the length of the 3rd relative to the 5th. All right, so let me try it again. I'll get there eventually. Length of the 3rd from the proposed 4. There we go. I thought I was right the first time. You go on vacation, you forget what the hell you're doing. Okay, there we go. So that's our invalidation level. Let's call it 12,627, where 3rd becomes the short. Well, excuse me, how do I deal with that? Well, the alternate would be that we have a running flat here, which is a count I had considered early on until we went into this long sideways here. We have the potential to be relabeling here. If we break this, we're going to be forced to go into an A, B running flat here into the C, right? Because I can get 5 in there if I need to. I can get 5 in there. So then we'd be putting the 3rd there, and that would allow us to have the 3rd longer than the 1st. So now we come back to this and we look at the proposed 1, all right, from the 2. Now I'm comfortably through it, right? So now 3rd is not threatened to be the shortest. Doesn't matter how far 5 goes because now 3rd is longer than 1. So there's the possible relabel. Now, do I like that? This certainly looks like a triangle, but if you're gonna apply Elliott rule set here, right? 3rd can't be the shortest. So you're forced to, maybe there's a, what would you call that, right? WXY. I don't think that this is a great. Oh, you might be able to do it. You might be able to go 1, 2. So you would put the C here. So or pardon me, the WXY. So you'd have to go A, B, C, X, A, B. You'd have to truncate the C. It's not ideal, right? It plays better as a triangle, but we got to, right? If we invalidate, you got to accommodate the invalidation. So keep in mind that that's a contender here. But at the moment, I don't think we need to do that. We stay with the triangle 4, and we'll see how far this goes. Now, eventually, at some point, if this is going to complete, let me scrunch back in here. A retracement is highly probable. If we complete up here, now we could be off to the side. If we're going up here to get this, the other thing we might do is just look at the length of the 1 projected from that 4, right? We get this nice confluence up here. I think if there's anything else I might have here. Well, we can use the triangle. We might look at that. We could do it this way. Apex. All right, we'd be here up at 200%. There's a couple of things we can look at there, but we don't have much subdivision. We're just going straight up. Now I am on a 4-hour. We'll look into this. But I'm starting to feel better about the resolution down here. I think this triangle in the 4 solves that problem. And now we'll have to wait and see if we invalidate up here. So, okay, there we go. So we are in the midst of an impulse. But let's just say we complete up there. Well, if that's the case, from my swing low, if we're going to complete up here, well, here's, we're anticipating well, you start to think about where that might go. And again, I don't have this, so I'm just drawing here based on a projection for a possible fifth that would be consistent with the swing relationships. If we're coming down here, 8,200, you've got, right, nothing says we have to come down here. We've got the big, right, the sideways range that we were in for all of that period of time. So if this goes a little higher, like if we really start to rip here, you kind of start to say, well, boy, wouldn't that be just ideal? Right? If we come in, even here, right, we can get that far. That would be 13.1. Here, this is 12.6. I'd love to see it get a little bit higher so that fifth starts to come into this zone. Pardon me, that 50 comes into this zone, even if it's on the low end of it, of this, all of this support here that we went through for so long. Now you add back in, oh shit, am I going to be able to find it? That one? Yeah, there's the big one. All right, so now we think about going up, starting to come back down, looking for where support, if that were offered, right, to test that massive trend line that held for 2.5 years, to test it from above. Boy, if we could get that in line with a fib level that made sense, boy, that'd be a biggie, right? But we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Well, let's get this hidden again. There you go. But what a pretty looking site, right? Just to be getting started here. So let's let the market show us the route here as it eventually took a long. When did we put that in? March 11th. Long wait to get clarity on this. Right now it's helping. So now let's go down to let's try the hourly. Is there anything here we can work with? Well, it's a. Well, you got very little pullback here. So if this is where it's starting, we might have to zoom in a little more there. Let's get you on that pivot. I'm going to take these off for the time being on the assumption that that is in as our 4. Looks like, oh geez, I'm going to pull this off as well. It looks like that would have to be our 1. So we. Jeez. Yep. So remember, we looked at this, and so it'd have to be a diagonal. So you'd have to go 1, 2, ABC into the 3 ABC. So it looks like you'd have to do it this way, so just to get it started. 1, 2. Now, you're kind of screwed here. You're thinking 3, 4. That must be the 5. Right? Even if we take this down a degree. Now we really. Right? Is this our 2? Doesn't look like it, right? Considering how far we've gone. So now you're thinking, do we have to rethink this? So it's not making it easy, right? So where's your 2, right? You've got nothing. This is your best case at your 2, but you're just completing the 1. So at this point, you're thinking 1. That's all you got. 2. You got to put them up here somewhere. Let's go to micro. Let's go. We'll go to white here. That is not much of a 2. Right, and look how shy and short it is, right? It takes almost no time. So this is tentative, right? So pencil that in until we need a deeper retracement to get our bearings on where we are in this count. If indeed this is the 1 coming out off of this 4 and the E, the coming out of the triangle, I can get a little diagonal, but I don't like that 2. So at some point we're going to need to get some sort of retracement, which is likely, the traders that caught this, the temptation, all it will take is a little bit of selling pressure, right? And then the stops get hit, and then oh shit, I got to grab my profit, right? That's what you're waiting for, right? So all of a sudden, it's just funny, right? So you have the beat up bull, as I've been for the last 2 years, but maintaining that bullish. It's just a matter of time, right? Now, that doesn't mean I didn't go through some drawdown and some losing trades, as many of you may have as well. But ultimately now you get vindication here. Right? Now, we'll see how far we go. Right? We're a long way to 20. But this is a very encouraging sign. So now it's just where does this help me? Where can I get into this count and take advantage of something that I can see with conviction? So right now, that's the best 2 I've got. Unless I'm back here invalidating the triangle and it's some sort of a WXY, and I've got to pull the 1 out of this, which, come to think of it, right? Could I even do it? Boy, that even here that looks. So you could probably get the ABC here, but then you're at 1, 2. That could work. But either way, if you went 1, 2, if this ends up being a 2 rather than the 4, because as I started, right? If we need to invalidate, and then the triangle is out because we get longer the third becomes the shortest. Well, then even if we went 1, 2, well, then I'm still seeking the 1, 2 here. It doesn't look much better. So until we get out of this pump phase and we get some sort of a corrective action, this is just, we sure as hell be careful about shorting that. Why? Shit, I never short Bitcoin. Why would you short that? Seriously, why? Okay, RSI is a little hot. Well, that's on the 1 hour. How about the 4 hour? Still hot, right? So you just keep going. I'm trying to think, why in their right mind would anybody short that, right? Unless you're just self-destructive. I don't know why anyone would short that. Particularly since we've just broken the algo resistance. So you have, it's going to be interesting to see how far this goes. So we still have this challenge of the Elliott count being a little bit elusive as we come out of this. But you got to label something here. So I think you just hold here. Again, if I could pencil that in, I would. Or same difference, I guess. Here, right? Because we can delete that pretty quickly or just relabel it if we need to. But right now, it looks like we're coming out of this. We're going up to get the 5th. So at some point, you would anticipate, even if it's a light retracement, 38, 50, something in there to get the count. Well, I saw a lot of people tweeting over the weekend, if we break here, Bitcoin will never go below 10 again. I would beg to differ on that. It depends how far we go here. But at some point, there's likely to be a correction here. So as a raging bull, I would tell you, be careful about FOMOing in here. See, that's the problem, right? If you're not in it now, you're a little bit, Jesus, I gave you plenty of time. But if you're not in it now, you're just going to have to be patient because you don't want to buy that. Well, now, don't confuse my saying you don't want to buy that with selling it. In terms of entering the market when we're ripping like that, of course it could keep going. That's not what I'm saying, right? Of course it could keep ripping. But in terms of the quality of your entry with regards to putting together a trade with a reasonable risk reward, if you're buying this, where's your stop? Right? Under the pivot down here? That would be an $1,800 stop. Really? That's a bit rich for me. I wouldn't do that. Just something to think about here. So you're kind of stuck here, like you're holding your hands, going, okay, well, I'm FOMO, I'm missing it. Well, slow down, not yet, right? That's what you need to look for. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. But even if you got that, right? What are we doing? We're completing the impulse off the low. So we would have the potential would be there for that thing to come back down. Here's where your opportunity is. If it's ever offered, again, and shit, for all I don't know, maybe it's never offered in there. If anything on here between, let's even use that structure there, between 7,500 and let's use the lower 8,500, if you ever see that again, well, that's where you want to get aggressive, right? If we ever see something down here again as the retracement, again, going back to that trend line, if that trend line ever kicks back in, I won't be able to find it now. Yeah, there it is. If we come back down to this even, right? So that really, what you're trying not to do now is just get into the 4 to the 5. But don't assume it's going to be that it's going to go that far. You'd be looking more as if this completes here, then we start an A, B, C. Well, that's one you want to pay attention to. We'll see. We'll see how far we go here. It's all speculation till we see where this tops. But we have nothing we can use other than that original algo swing where we had the 50 and the 618. So if I can find that. Is that it? Nope. That's the wolf range. There's the big one. Okay, so next up is the 50 at 11.5. After that, it's the golden zone up here. 13, 14. So until we get on the other side of 14, you still have to approach all of this with caution. So maybe that's what happens here. We just bump into the 50, that algo. Jesus Christ. This algo kicks, that creates the 4, which gives us the 5 to get that target, bump into that golden zone. Now we've got a candidate for the 5 up here, 3, 4 triangle, up to the 5, into the golden zone. There's going to be defense there. If that kicks it down, right, then we're putting the whole thing together. Now we're doing just what I was saying, right? Trying to buy here as we come down. Where's 10K? 10K is right here. Never going to tell. Well, shit, that maybe, right? 86. 76. God, that would be. We'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. Exciting times. All right. Just a reminder. Right. If nothing else, come on in and start on the white belt. That'll challenge you, and that'll make you better prepared to deal with everything that's coming. Okay, guys. Talk to you later.